For Governor Jeff Landry declines to participate in Fox 8 Gray Television's statewide televised debate next week.
And pundits weigh in on what they think is Landry's political strategy. Sabrina Wilson reports.
September 30th, early voting begins for the October 14th primary, and Louisiana's governor's race is on the ballot. On September 26th, Gray TV holds a televised debate that will air in every television market in Louisiana. But frontrunner Jeff Landry has declined to take part. Fox 8 political analyst Mike Sherman.
This is disappointing, but not at all surprising. With such a dominant lead, there's no clear strategic advantage to participate in this or any debate right now.
And why?
A debate can't really assist the Attorney General in going up in the polls, but he could make a gaffe and come down.
Kate Kelly, communications director for the Landry campaign, sent a statement to Fox 8 News director Kristen Palestina saying, "Thank you for inviting Jeff Landry to the Gray TV gubernatorial debate. After reviewing everything you sent over as well as taking into account Jeff's campaign schedule, we have decided to decline the invitation. Again, thank you for the invite and please reach out again for future debates or events." In our recent Fox 8 Gray TV statewide poll, 40% of respondents say they would vote for Landry. Dillard political analyst Dr. Robert Collins.
He figures if he participates in the debate and the other candidates start attacking him, he might say something that he regrets. He might damage himself.
A runoff is expected.
This is a signal that he's accepted the fact that there is going to be a runoff. And of course, he believes it's going to be a runoff with Shawn Wilson. If he thought that there was any possibility of him winning it in the first primary, I do believe he would do the debate.
In our poll, Shawn Wilson, a Democrat, was second at 24%, and Republican Stephen Wagasback was third with 9%. The other candidates were below 5%. In this letter, Fox 8 spells out the criteria for participation in the debate, saying the criteria to participate in the Gray 2023 Louisiana gubernatorial debate is as follows. Each candidate must have polled at 5% or higher in a poll commissioned by Gray Television conducted after qualifying.
I think for the Attorney General, he's made a strategic calculation that it would do more damage to his campaign to appear on stage elevating his opponents than the damage he'll take for not showing up.
I think it's a loss for voters. I don't think it's really fair to the citizens that they don't get to see all of their candidates fully debate the issues multiple times, especially since, he's the leading candidate.
And Mike Sherman says debates and political discourse are essential to a healthy democracy. Meg?